And they both went to the Harvey Weinstein trial, and they broadcast each day some of the testimony. When we last spoke, Anne, you and not only you, I mean others who had heard the testimony, they thought that he might not be convicted. What happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly as you say. Anyone who sat in that court, I think, who had any, modicum of sense or common sense, would have believed that he would have walked, that the case should never have come to court at all in the first place, given the two women that were accusing him. However, that's, of course, not the case, because we're living in highly politicized times where mob justice is what, rules the day. And he's got 23 years. 20 years for one of the assaults, one of these alleged assaults that are now he's been convicted of, and 3 years to run consecutively. And it's interesting, in the court, we had Arthur Aidala for the defense, basically saying to the judge, and the judge was unbelievable, Dennis, like extremely aggressive to the lawyers, who were doing their job defending their client. Like he was a really, really sarcastic, whatever, what was it? Well, unbelievable. Knock yourself out. At one stage, they said, do you mind if the three of us speak? The three lawyers. I'd like to say such a way. Oh, knock yourself out. In a context where you're talking about, as one of the lawyers said, Damon Sharonis said, we're here for this man's life. Do you mind if we have a little bit of time here? So he was very, really, really aggressive. And I think what, as I said, Arthur Aidala pointed out yesterday was that similar acts and similar cases that have been judged by this very judge got very small sentences. 7.5 to 8 years was the mean of the sentences for similar offences. And in this case, where you have somebody who has never, was never convicted of anything in the past, it's extraordinary, and it is political, and it's really bad for justice, and it's bad for you and me, because today they went after a scumbag, and tomorrow they're coming.
That's right. That's exactly right. This is exactly the case. I'm in a tough position here because I have to use a term that I don't want little kids to necessarily hear. The parents
Correct.
can finesse it, but I have no choice. I don't think people understand the way what he was convicted of. So let me handle this, and then you react.
Right.
There were two women. One was third-degree rape, correct?
Correct.
Which, I mean, I didn't know there were degrees. I have no problem with it being there. I mean, there's first degree and second degree and third degree murder, so I understand that. So but that was only 4 years, correct?
Correct. That's 3 years. Actually,
So, right. So, folks, 19 years to a man in his late 60s, 19 years in prison for, and now I know you know it, and I want to make sure I know it.
Yes. I know where you're going here.
For engaging in oral intimacy with a woman against her will. Is that correct?
That's the one he got. He actually got 20 years for that offense.
Okay.
He got 3 years. The total is 23.
Okay. So I want people to understand
right.
here.
You are correct. You are correct,
yes.
Dennis.
Right. So when I read that, I read it twice. So he performed that act.
Correct.
And first of all, I'm not exactly. I mean, explain to me how without actually
yes
tying somebody down. How do you do that against their will?
Well, I mean, of course, Dennis, and by the way, without even having to get too graphic here, this is a hotel suite. Her friend is outside the door in that same hotel suite. The girl involved, who claimed that this happened, didn't shout out. There was no kind of shouting out. And after this happened, she came out of the room, and the woman who was there, her friend, registered nothing, that nothing had happened, that nothing...
And by the way, didn't that friend testify for the defense?
Yes. Well, reluctantly, very reluctantly, but did testify for the defense. I mean, this is, and obviously, we talked before when I was speaking to you about this during the case. These two women, Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann, I mean, their stories are, and I've done, I've been around, going to get my hair done yesterday, even telling the hairdresser about it. And here's what I say to people, because anyone who doesn't know anything about the case says, oh, I hope he burns, I hope he dies. It's incredible. And by the way, conservatives and liberals alike, which is very disappointing to me. I hope he dies. Oh, I wish they would, whatever. And then I say to people, can I just ask you a couple of questions? Because, you, I think, were as shocked as I was at the beginning when the 90 women reduced down to 2, that they could only find 2 women that they felt that they could stand up the cases in court. And that those 2 women, when we heard the details of those 2 women's interactions with him, I mean, it was beyond comprehension. It is beyond comprehension how this man is in prison today, and it's a travesty and a tragedy, and he will die in prison. And they're going to make sure he does. And it's not a good day for women, by the way. It's not a good day for justice. And it's interesting. I talked to a friend of mine about it, and a psychiatrist, and she was listening to our podcast, which all your listeners can listen to, the Harvey Weinstein podcast.com, where we had reenactments, daily reenactments. And actually today's one that came out this morning has the whole of the verdict with everyone speaking, including the 2 witnesses, the sentencing, I should say. And people who, once you say to them, well, here's what happened. This one woman, in the case of Miriam Haley, she, the day after the alleged assault, the alleged rape, she took a plane paid for by him, went to Los Angeles, spent a holiday there, came back. The first person she basically went to see was him, had consensual sex, and then asked him to fly her to London. When she was in London, staying in a posh hotel, all paid for by him, she wrote to him and said, oh, I've just worked out that you're going to be in London. I'm going to try and change my flight so that I'm here when you're here. Sorry, I mean, for me, this defies logic. And for people saying, are women powerful? We are able to say, we are human beings. We make choices. And if we live in a world where women completely have no power at all, I don't believe we live in that world. This isn't the 19th century. People can say no. People can say, I want to be alone now. I'm not traveling. I'm not going to London. I'm not writing to you ever again. I'm never going to write to you. I'm not going to become a member of the Soho Club.
Tell people where to go to hear your broadcast.
So it's the Harvey Weinstein podcast.com. WeinsteinPodcast.com, and they'll find...
Wait, so either way, wait, Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein?
Harvey Weinstein Podcast.com.
Okay, listen, I want to talk to you again next week. This is extremely important if you care about justice. I don't care about that man. I do care about justice.